Fire.
The players just got done saying that yesterday wasn't like day one, it was like day 11. How much did that week of, well, not week, the 10 days of practice leading up to Europe and that trip help out with, getting started now?
I think for everybody that was here, a lot. Like, I think Christina felt like she was taking water through a fire hose, but we told her it was going to be that way. She wasn't here for those workouts. Comfortable level, it flowed. It had really, really good pace. I was really pleased with the work they've done in the strength and conditioning area and the athletic training area, how strong they were, how long we were able to go without losing focus. And it is a result of having those 21 days that we had, 10 in prep and then 3 games and all that travel time. We've kind of been on each other's nerves already, so we didn't have that build up. We've got that out of the way. We've been through those first 2 or 3 of those moments. So I thought we got a lot done. We made it almost 2 full hours, which for us is a lot at the pace we were going at. The addition of the press into every drill makes every drill kind of a little bit new. So I think it had the new factor first. Everybody was excited to be back together as a team. But then the comfortableness of having already done a lot of the hard things. So I think we're a little bit ahead of people who didn't have a foreign tour. And like I told them yesterday, now the goal is to stay ahead of them, take advantage of those days we had.
And then, of course, it's no secret that last year, just in part of the stretch, that confidence was an issue with the team. How has, I guess, the staff worked on in the offseason, just kind of building that up?
We changed a lot of things. We talked a lot about some of the things that environmentally had happened over the course of the year, and we've improved in a lot of those areas. We've got new faces, too, that help that. I mean, having Sasha back helps. Having a kid like all of our freshmen that have come in helps. I'm not one of those people that dwell on the subtractions. I think more about the additions, but those additional perspectives have been really good. I think as a staff, we just pointed out some things that had started to kind of get on our nerves each other. I mean, we've been together about 7 years too, So I think we've cleaned up a lot of those things in our office. I don't think it trickles down to the practice floor. I think we've cleaned up way we go about doing things and words that we use, a lot more intentional. But I take it all back to the players because they're the ones doing it. They talk to each other. I don't think they talk to each other differently. They accept it, they take it better than maybe in the past. They took it personal. This is more about the team. And I think because what we had this summer, we were able to get to that point a little bit faster than we were last year. And confidence, as you said, right now is high. We played really good over there there were other college teams over there too playing the exact same opponents we had. And I know you can't compare scores, but you can compare scores. I mean, it's the same teams, so it's, you can a little bit. It means something. It doesn't mean everything, but it means something. So I think we do have a confident group.
Coach, with the addition of the press into the system, I know we talked about it a little bit before Europe, but how comfortable do you feel the girls are with it now going into the season because you had that time to implement it a little bit in those Europe games? And then it seems like Michaela was talking about it. She seems everyone seems excited about it and to use it this season.
Yeah, and it carried over. I mean, we had success with it over there, and then like the first thing we did yesterday was toss it up and play, and she immediately jumped into the press and caught the other team off guard just because they kind of forgot that's what we do, We've said it all year last year. You can't just give people confidence. You have to have some success with some things. So I think to see it work at times, we're still not trotting that thing out there ready for display in front of public consumption. It's not by any means the 40 minutes of hell that Coach Richardson used to do on that floor. And I'm not even going to get, we're not close to that yet. But it's coming in waves. And it's going to have, it's going to have some warts along the way. But I do think it gives them an excitement. We've got more depth. Y'all will see that if you stick around. This is the last piece that you add when you're trying to build a program. And in year 7, you should have some depth. And we do. That's the last thing you add. Now that we have that, I think that plays into the press.
I was actually going to ask about the depth, so that leads
Great
perfectly
segue
into my next question for you. It's got to feel good as a head coach to, have Sam sit up there and say it takes the pressure off of some of us to know we don't have to play a full 40 minutes, that we have other people that can come in and take that load off of our shoulders. How good does it feel as a head coach to say, yeah, we have that depth, and I feel good about using it too?
Yeah, well, and Sam and those two that were in here, those were the two that were the brunt of it last year. Like, during the dead ball, they'd be looking at me pulling their jersey. And I would not make eye contact. It'd be like, what? What? I'd just be looking at focus my attention someplace else. But yeah, and for them to know that and to say that out loud, to know that what Carly Keats and Talia have immediately brought to us, and they've seen it. They know, Mack and Sam know they can play X percent harder and get X more minutes of rest. I don't think we ever have a group of kids that look at the minutes played and care. I think they want to play as many as they're needed. And I think now they know they can be more productive in fewer minutes. And I think they're starting to see how that balance can be one of the advantages we can create. There's, in this league, and I'm not dismissing non-conference play, but y'all all know we're looking to try to figure out the best way we can compete in the SEC. To create an advantage in this league is really hard. And I think one way we can do that is with this team, with the depth and with the speed. And, people have already said that we're kind of hard to prepare for, but now you're going to have to prepare for the press too. On top of that, I think we're going to steal a lot of practice time. And I want that to be maybe an advantage that we do have when it comes, time for SEC opponents.
Mike, when a program has success, of course, then expectations come after that. Pressure comes after that. After what you guys have done the last couple of years and then not making it last year, how do you deal with the pressure, or is there pressure this year that, we have to get back to the tournament?
We always put that on ourselves. So there's nobody from the outside. They can try. I mean, we're all living in 2023. We know that is going to happen. But we have always been grounded in reality with our kids, and everybody can be entitled to their own opinions. I'm okay with that. I have no problem with it. Just not your own facts. Your facts are the facts. And I told the team yesterday as we start, there's 2 teams in this league that have been in the top 50 in the net the last 5 years. Sorry, 4 years. Last 4 years. That's what we're talking about, the most recent year, max years. 2 teams. And I guarantee you if I'd asked y'all that question earlier today, y'all wouldn't have picked 2. But it's us in South Carolina. So I'm going to keep reminding them of that we have had great consistency, but consistency is not really rewarded in 2023 anymore. How you finish, where you finish, that last game does matter, and we know that. And we also know how close we were to that happening last year, and I think it really taught us some valuable things. So there won't be any more added pressure, but it's the same that's always there because they know the difference in playing in the NCAA tournament and not. So we talk about it. We embrace it all the way through. We started talking about it in Greece. I think the more you talk about it, the more you're able to handle it. It's not easy, but I don't think any of us signed up for it thinking it was going to be easy. So.
And then the Farmington girl. How has Jenna transitioned?
The Farmington girl,
The Farmington girl. Since Jenna.
That's what I call her too. I don't even know her name.
Since Jenna stepped on campus to first official day of practice yesterday, how has she transitioned? And do you think that she can play a legit role this year as a freshman?
She's not changed one bit. She is the same kid that she's been since I met her. Just, Coach, what do I need to do? How can I help the team? There's maintenance, there's high maintenance, there's low maintenance, and then there's Jenna. It's just she is just steady. And the way she played over there, you might think she would have changed, but she hasn't. She's just gone out, continued to, shoot the ball when she's open, rebound it and defend when she's asked to rebound and defend. I think she has a naivety that I hope she doesn't lose. I hope she doesn't listen to this press conference. I am not going to put any limits or anything on the kid because it changes when you get in the SEC. That's just and we have 5 or 6 non-conference opponents this year that's going to test us. Y'all can look at the schedule and figure out who I'm talking about. We're going to know how good we are or aren't before Christmas. And until she gets up into that, I'm not going to try to evaluate. I just keep showing up, keep doing how you do it, keep going about your business. I think we all knew, those of y'all that followed her last couple of years up here, she's mature beyond her years. That goes back to her support system, her parents, her family, Coach Johnson, what he does at Farmington. It also does not hurt that we literally talk all the time about offense, because I run stuff they run. Okay, don't get it twisted. They don't run stuff we run. I'll go over there and watch them and Coach Taylor on the boys' side, and I'm like, whoa, that's a good set. I'm going to put that in. So I think that transition has helped her a lot too, because it's not like she's learning a new system. She's learning a new language. It's different terminologies, but you always see that moment click in her head. She'll go, oh, this is what he's really meaning. And that's why I think her transition may happen faster than, say, for Talia, because it's all new for Talia. It's all new for her. I think the fact that Jenna got herself and her family was able to get her into a situation. She's been preparing to be a freshman here for the last 2 years. Y'all will get a chance to talk to her and her parents. When they made that's a hard decision to move, to get over here, but that was talked about. We want her to be ready to play as a freshman. We'll see. But if she keeps doing what she does on the floor in practice, then it will translate.
I was going to talk about the intensity of being able to start the fall camp, having those practices prior to the fall camp and not really, like you said, having to stop to go over things.
Yep.
How much do you think that's going to help you heading into this season?
I hope a lot, because we're focusing on that. Like yesterday felt like you were reviewing for a final exam or something. Hey, remember what we did? 5 minutes, boom. I had 15 minutes on the practice schedule, and after 5 minutes I look around like, well, they got it. So that right there made up 10 minutes of a practice schedule that I going in thought, and I thought I was being generous. And then the next drill, same thing. Hey, let's review our defense. And we didn't have to have very many reps. If that can continue, then you can start focusing on extra shooting in practice, really monitoring their legs and making sure that the first scrimmage game, you're looking at all these benchmarks down the line. If you don't have to, and I hate to use the word waste, but that's the only word is, if you don't have to waste time in practice every day reviewing something from the day before, you can build and you can focus on special situations and little things. And this group's really hypersensitive to little things, because we know how close last year 6 games were that were all decided by little things. So there was a moment in practice yesterday when somebody said, last year we might have moved on. This year we got it right. So hopefully there keeps being more of those moments, Porter.
And last thing for me, I want to go back to the depth and not so much on the court, but off the court. You're talking about, Michaela was talking about the weight room. How much do that you think they're able to put more into the weight room? They're able to put more into practice, knowing that the depth they have coming in the season, they can make those things right during practice.
I think it affects every decision they make. I mean, I think they probably talked about a few of them while they were up here, but I bet when they're out there now, they're thinking of even more. I mean, I think it goes into the number of kids that are going down to watch the football game this weekend. If they were mentally and physically whipped because we had 5 days of grueling 3 and 4 hour practices, I don't think any of them would have gotten in a car and gone down and supported our football team. None. But it's going to be a bunch of us going down there to support, and we're going to try to catch the Wings Aces game too while we're down there. But I don't think those kids would have done that if they were so beat down, tired after 5 days in the weight room, 5 days of classes. I'm just drawing on past teams. I think it allows them more time to spend off the floor. It allows them more time in the weight room, in the conditioning room. They eat in the Jones Center together. You're never going to see a pod of 14 girls walking around on a college campus doing everything together. But, man, we see 4 and 5s and 3s and 4s and nobody ever alone. We have a couple of people that like their time and space, and we give it to them. But I think it's got benefit all the way down to every aspect of what they go through as a student athlete in 2023. Dudley?
The Fayetteville girl.
The Fayetteville girl. Okay. Yeah, we had 2 of those.
Yeah.
Okay, clarify.
Okay.
Lauren or Sasha? Okay, Sasha.
Sasha
okay.
has returned. Just obviously she's very versatile and helps you out. But talk about just the overall big picture of her being back for the team and what it means for her and what it means for y'all.
Well, I don't know. It'll probably be a long time before I'm ever to really able to verbalize it and put it into words. But, like, you could just tell a difference when she was back. She's just – we were watching the football game the other day. A word came up, toxic positivity. Bobby Smith, I think, coined that word. She's not toxic positivity. Like, she's not just being positive to be positive. She's just positive. She's a positive kid. And she's been through things that some of us haven't, and she's got an appreciation for it. I just think she has a way of adding to the moment when it needs to be added to and taking away from the moment it needs to be taken. She knows the right thing to say at the right time. And we were missing that. We missed her in so many ways. But just her presence back, it'll be a full year before we can probably quantify it. But it impacts, going back to something I just said to Porter, I think it impacts everything we do. I think our reunion that we had for the 25th anniversary team, I think she helps make that better because she just is like, oh, y'all played? Oh, it's so nice. You're Christy Smith. And just the way she goes about things, the look that she has on her face, the way she attacks drills. She's got some competition this year. She's always been, those monitors that we wear to track how hard they work and their load. She's always been 75 points to 100 higher than anybody we've had. Yesterday, she's had some serious competition from 3 or 4 places, and I think that's that. I'm going to get the saying wrong about the tides all rise, all ships or something. I think she's one of those kids that helps that raise everybody's approach. And then we got veterans, Mack and Sam and Jersey, and I count, Sailor's a veteran even though she's got sophomore beside her name as number of credit hours she has. Those kids appreciate that. Those kids can take that and make it fit within our team.
Obviously, great talent, but how much better is it going to be for her that she has these senior guards around to, kind of, for lack of a better way, teach her how to play major college basketball?
She won't realize how valuable it is until probably 2 or 3 years from now. We see it on a daily basis right now, that they can give her not only words, but they can go out and show her. It doesn't do me or Coach Todd any good to tell her anything, because if Mack and Sam say it to her, she's going to believe them. And she should, because they're the ones that have done it in this league and at a very high level. So I think Talia appreciates it right now, but I don't think she will fully grasp it until they're both gone. We didn't know for sure whether Mack would still be here when we were recruiting her. We thought she might be, but you never know. But now that you've got those 3 kids, and y'all, you're going to add Carly Keats to this conversation after y'all see her play. Those 4 guards going at each other every day in practice, I don't care how we split them up, they get SEC level guarding each other every single day. And that's going back to the depth question. We don't have to have our guys' practice team out there. It can be red versus white or gray versus red, or however. That is an invaluable – it's a hard thing to quantify how valuable that is. But the fact that they can do it every single day, and if you don't, you're not going to get open, or they're going to take it from you. So I think she understands it now, but I think she'll appreciate it way down the line, Dudley.
Mike, following up on that, when you talk about Mack and Sam maybe not playing 38, 40 minutes, how do you think it'll look? Because both of them are used to having the ball in their hands. If they're seated and you have Talia, you have a sense on how that rotation is going to look, or what you might prefer?
I don't know what we'll prefer yet, but I know this overseas and even in practice yesterday, when she got it, Sam and Mack were perfectly content to run to that lock spot because she's going to get you open. The number of catch and shoot threes they both got because of Talia's ability to penetrate and touch the paint went way up. So I don't think they'll be very reluctant. I may have to maybe, hey, Mack, go get the ball from time to time. So I think Talia has earned their respect and their confidence that if it's in her hands, we're going to be just fine. But I think I'm going to have to make them go get it, to be honest with you. And that's a good thing. Mack and Sam running the floor to those corner spots is going to stress a lot of people, especially if you're going to try to play as man, because now you start looking at matchups and you go, okay, well, who are you going to put on Mack? Who are you going to put on Sam? Well, then now who you have guarding Talia, that's got some cascade effect to it. So I think it's going to be fun to watch to see how it kind of – right now I'm not putting too many rules on anything. I'm just kind of letting them see how it works out on the floor. And then if we have to get in and coach it later, we will. But rather than go out there and put them in a box, I think all my players would tell me that's something that we don't really do a lot of, is telling them this is who you have to be. We kind of let you see what you can do, and then we go from there.
Hey, Coach. So I know we're still pretty far out, but just to preview the non-conference schedule, the two games that stick out to me are back-to-back against two of the better programs in women's basketball, being Florida State and UCLA. Just have you started to scout those, and how do you see those matchups?
We start looking at them as soon as we start even thinking about putting them on the schedule. Hey, who do they have coming back? Who did they recruit? You know. So, yeah, you start a little bit of that. You know, I think after you build your staff and your team, the next most important thing you do is schedule. It's got to fit your team. I think this schedule does. You know, we didn't schedule the Florida State game because it was part of that ACC challenge, but we knew we were going to play somebody in the ACC that was pretty comparable. It ended up being them. And then the UCLA game, when we scheduled it, Charisma Osborne was planning on going to the WNBA draft, and Sanaya Betts still played for Stanford. We got the game scheduled, got it contracted, and those two things changed. So I think they went from being a top 15 team in the country to being a top 5 team. But again, that's what's fun about all of that. I don't think our kids they didn't come here thinking that from November to December we were going to play people they didn't know. They want to play against people they grew up playing against. They want to play against the teams that are going to be on TV, games that are going to get picked up. So we had to give it to them. It's going to cause some sleepless nights for those of us that are recruiting. Are scouting with it. But you know, we tried to put ourselves back in challenging situations again, playing the 4 in-state schools, going back to Arkansas State, playing a Little Rock game. Some quick turnarounds. Both of our tournaments in Florida have Illinois is an NCAA tournament team from last year. Marquette's going to be an NCAA tournament team. So I did not want to turn the calendar into December and not know some things. We're going to know some things. We won't be undefeated. If we're undefeated, we'll be number 4 or 5 in the country. If we're undefeated. I don't think we'll be undefeated. Maybe we will, but if we are, we're going to be one of the top 5 teams in the country. Otherwise, if our record's less than perfect, we're going to be whatever we are, but we're going to know about our team going into the SEC.